Okay, Emma, Jane Austen. Now, we all know the story. Emma is a rich, entitled, little upper class bitch, lives in a place where absolutely nothing happens. It's called Highbury. She entertains herself by getting involved, matchmaking, being a busybody in other people's lives. Now, this story starts out when she persuades a young girl named Harriet Smith not to marry the good, honest farmer who actually loves her. And instead, she points her in the direction of this vicar, who turns out has no feelings whatsoever for Harriet Smith. In fact, he sort of claims to be in love with Emma herself. But he's not really that either. He's really simply after her money. The guy is a total phony. Now, there's one character in the book who's constantly criticizing Emma for getting involved in other people's lives, and that's a guy named Mr. Knightley. And Mr. Knightley, it turns out, in my judgment, is the only one in the book who's got two brain cells to rub together. Now, it turns out that ultimately she takes Knightley's criticism seriously, gets herself straightened out, and quits doing these bad things. Now, one of the things I particularly liked about this Jane Austen book was the way she painted Emma's father. You know, most of the time, Jane Austen is pretty brutal with fathers. Take Mr. Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. The guy is a very intelligent guy, but he's absolutely indifferent to what happens to his family. Absolutely indifferent. In this case, Mr. Woodhouse turns out he's kind of a goofy, good-natured old guy. He's a hypochondriac. He thinks the world will be better. Everybody will be better off if they just have a bowl of thin gruel at night before they go to bed. And he much prefers it if nobody ever goes out. So I kind of liked that about this book. And, if you compare fathers and other Jane Austen books, she, like I say, she tends to be pretty brutal with them. Now, you kind of wonder why it is that Jane Austen is so popular. Who really cares about these upper class, early 19th century British rich people trying to find their right rung on the social ladder? Nobody cares about that. But what you do care about are the characters that she creates. And what she does is she manages to paint them in a way that you see that even her heroines, or the main characters, have really important failings. Take Emma herself. Emma is just an arrogant little snob, and she acting entitled, privileged. She's kind of miserable at the start of the book. Go to Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Darcy comes across, he's not just socially awkward. He goes through the first part of that book like he's got a broomstick up his ass. And even Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice, she's really kind of on the prideful, snooty side. So Jane Austen paints all this stuff, and, because she's given them human qualities, human failures, you tend to be sympathetic to them. At least I am. And of course, she manages to create drama out of stuff in these places where nothing ever happens. I mean, in a lot of her books, the most dramatic thing that occurs is when it rains on somebody's morning walk. And, of course, she's got humor in her books. Now, the humor is subtle. You got to read it carefully, but it's there. It absolutely is there. Anyway, I personally really enjoyed Jane Austen. I enjoyed reading this book, Emma, and I certainly recommend Jane Austen to absolutely anybody. That's my contribution for this year's July is Jane Austen month. And there you have it. I'll see you next week.